Today, I spent some time on my radio show on WWL talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Today is King Day, a day that we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and rightfully so. But it's also a day where I spent time talking about a crime wave in New Orleans. Hi, I'm Scoot. Welcome to Scoot on the Air YouTube. I hope you become a subscriber. That way, we give you a notice every time we post something. And I see that a couple of my videos from the past have gotten some recent attention. There's a lot of videos, interesting videos on this channel. I just share my opinion about a lot of things. One of the things that's always fascinated me, and I see that this video has gotten some more attention recently, is the truth behind the microphone, gay or not. I mean, can you believe it? Some people think I'm gay. Am I? Well, I totally explained that in the video, and you can check that out here on the YouTube channel. So we have a crime wave in New Orleans, and it's really, really sad. And I had a reverend call on my show today, and he was respectful, but he was calling me out because I refer to the young thugs as young thug bastards. These little young thug bastards are out there. Now, I don't mean bastard in the literal term of born out of wedlock. I mean bastards just in terms of being a bad person. Like, you bastard. I don't mean that like literally like born out of wedlock, although that's the problem too. But I mean just bastard as far as a bad person is concerned. These are bad people. There are not that many of them doing it, not compared to the whole population of the city. And I know there are a lot of people in the city and around the country who love to stereotype. It's not fair. It's not fair. I don't care how many people you see doing it, it's not fair. And again, I'm going to use this analogy. If you're a middle-aged white guy, should we assume that you're into child pornography? Because when I watch the news and I see a child pedophile, I see somebody with child pornography on the news, in 90% of the cases, it seems, the overwhelming majority are white, middle-aged men. You want to be judged? I don't. So let's not be so quick to judge others. So far in New Orleans, so far this year, there have been 36 carjackings. 36. There have been a few attempts that didn't make it, but there are 36 carjackings so far. It's January 17th. 36 so far. Last year at this time, there were 14. In 2019, it was in single digits. So don't hand me this bullshit like, oh, this has been going on for a long time. And the reverend who called the show today was telling me, you can't call these people bastards. These are somebody's children. And I said, Reverend, with all due respect, you're wrong. These are not somebody's children because nobody's raising them. That's the problem. People have sex. They don't give a damn about what happens, and people get pregnant, and we've got a system that supports this behavior, and so people have kids. They have children they have no intent on raising. And I've talked about this a lot on my radio show, and I'll talk about it here on the YouTube channel. Politicians do not want to address this issue because they don't want to criticize human behavior. They don't want to criticize the behavior of the children or the relatives of their voting base. So until we address the real issue, and that is responsible behavior, nothing's going to change. And when you've got these like brazen young thug bastards out there carjacking people, I mean, there were 4 carjackings and an attempted 5th within a 5-hour period in uptown New Orleans, a really nice section of New Orleans. I've expressed my theory before. I think in a lot of these cases, maybe a majority of these cases, I think these are young people who realize what they're doing. They're terrorizing a community. And I guess they feel powerless. I mean, they're powerless unless they have a damn gun. You have a gun, you're not worth a shit, right? I mean, that's the mentality. So they just feel powerless, even with a gun. Maybe they feel meaningless. Maybe they feel left out, but they gain a sense of power by terrorizing a community. And carjackings is a great way to do it. There was a man on the news tonight, I'd say 35, 40 years old. He and his wife, 2 kids in the back, an attempted carjacking on his car. Guys come out of an SUV. One's got a gun pointed at the wife. One's got a gun pointed at the guy. The kids are screaming in the back. One of the kids was 7 years old. I mean, they're hysterical, justifiably so. And then they get out of the car, and apparently the carjackers looked in the car, and then they went back to their SUV and took off. The man is speculating that maybe the stupid bastards didn't know how to drive a stick shift. He had a standard. They didn't know how to drive it, so they took off. But here's the sad part. Well, it's all sad. But the 7-year-old child, when they got home, barricaded the door of his home because he was afraid they might get in there. And when these cars are found 2, 3, 4 blocks away, I can't help but think that, they're not selling the cars. They're not piecing them out. They're not taking them to a chop shop. They're doing it because it's fucking fun. And not enough is done to address the issue. And it's raging out of control. I'm not going to tell you to not come to New Orleans. I mean, I had 2 events downtown this weekend, and I was on Bourbon Street for a bit. I'm not gonna stop coming to the city, but I will tell you, especially if you're driving in this city, you better be damn careful because you never know when or where somebody may carjack you. And until this starts to affect the tourism in New Orleans, nobody's gonna address it. Well, okay, I take that back. The mayor won't address this specifically. There's a crime wave. It's armed robberies, it's carjackings, it's homicides, shootings. It's a lot. The city council president, Helena Moreno, is calling for a special city council meeting this Thursday and Monday to talk to the police chief and the district attorney about the crime wave in New Orleans. And now I wrote a blog about this last week that went viral. And it went viral because it's true. I mean, this is a sad thing that's happening to our city. And what's being done? I don't know. I don't see enough being done to stop it, which is why it continues to ramp up. We've got a shortage of NOPD officers, a shortage. And the punks know that. And then if they get arrested, whoosh, they get right out. The ink is not dry on their arrest papers, and they're out. Judges are letting them out. This is not only a police problem, it's a societal problem. Look, this is going on everywhere in the country. But okay, I spend a lot of time on my radio show talking about children that come into this world without parents, without anybody. I mean, they come out of the body of somebody that is technically the parent. Their existence is due to a man and a woman having sex. But the 2 people having sex sometimes don't give a shit about the kid that is created. That's not the child's fault. And I feel badly for these children. But at some point, society has to take care of the children in terms of punishing them. if parents don't teach consequences for negative behavior, then it's up to society. Because we shouldn't have to be terrorized. We shouldn't have to put up with this bullshit. And it's scary. I recently moved from downtown New Orleans, where I lived for 10 years. After moving back here, after being gone for a while, I loved living downtown till the last few years. And then it just turned out to be a shit show down there. I still live in New Orleans, but now I'm out in an area close to the lake. And when I moved, like now, like 5 months later, I realized just how dangerous New Orleans was. And it's so nice not to have to put up with that. I mean, you got to be careful in the city. I've always been applauded for being an ambassador to my city, and I am. But I'm not going to not be honest about it. I'm going to be honest about the city. And if you're at a stop sign or a stop light, give yourself room. Don't get so close to the car in front of you that you can't maneuver out if you have to. And you just really have to be on the lookout for everything. I wish that weren't the case, but it is. So, what's going to be done? I don't know. But this is a problem. It's a growing problem. It's a growing crime wave. And I will tell you this again. The politicians are afraid to address the issue head on because the problem is human behavior. The problem's not skin color. The problem is human behavior. And the politicians want to blame it on everything else. As long as that happens, nothing is going to change. Actually, something is going to change. It's going to get worse. And I'm a real optimistic person. It's going to be interesting to see if, carjackers try to carjack the wrong person, somebody who's armed, and they end up dead. I know there's going to be all this sympathy. Oh, they didn't have to die. They shouldn't have shot him. You know what? Don't freaking carjack a car. I don't really know how this would play out. I'm not telling you to shoot people. But maybe if some of these people got picked off by legal gun owners, maybe some of these bastards would back off because they think they're the big ones with the guns. Now, you have to show your life is threatened. And if you're being carjacked and you have kids in the car, I would feel, and somebody's pointing a gun at me, I'd feel like my life is threatened. Anyway, it's a mess, and it shouldn't be this way. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did not stand for this. He represented peace. He also represented force when necessary. But Dr. King would never address this kind of random, violent bullshit that is growing out of control and disproportionately affects the very people he was trying to help.